This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Today is the fourth in our series on Sheish Mitzvahs Taminias, 6 concept mitzvahs. So for those of you who are here for your first time, just to make it challenging for me, in a nutshell, what we've tried to discuss is, I mentioned at the outset that in the honor of Tu B'Shvat, that mankind is often compared to a tree. So there are many pshatim as to how you can compare a human being to a tree. And the one that I focused on was that in the same way that the development of a tree has really 3 parts to it. There are the seeds. Those seeds produce roots, and those roots grow a tree which produces branches and fruits. So in the same way, a human being really has 3 parts. There's the seeds, that's the ideas. Then those ideas produce within us attitudes and a perspective. We see the world through the construct of the ideas that we believe to be true. It creates attitudes, it creates perspectives, creates values. And a result of those attitudes, perspectives, and values, we make choices. We do things. There are actions. Those are the fruits. So the 6 constant mitzvahs, which we mentioned at the outset, are really the core of Torah and Yiddishkeit, because the 6 constant mitzvahs are really more so than any of the other mitzvahs defining what does it mean to have a real and meaningful relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's what these mitzvahs are coming to teach us. And therefore, they are the essence of Yiddishkeit, because the essence of our purpose is to develop this meaningful relationship with Hashem. That's really what we're here for. Everything in Torah is pulling and pushing towards that overarching goal. That is the end point that we're all trying to get to in this world. And Olam Haba will be where we reap that relationship that we create in this world. That is the essence of what we'll be doing in Olam Haba, is relating to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and that relationship is completely built and dependent upon the quality of the relationship that we choose and develop here in this world. That's what this world is about. And therefore, the 6 concept mitzvahs are the essence of Yiddishkeit, and they really need to be the core of who we are. What is at the core of our being? What really defines, what am I undertaking? What am I undertaking in my lifetime? What am I undertaking in this decade? What am I undertaking this year? What am I undertaking this month, this week, this day, this moment? Who am I really? What am I really seeking and striving for and taking responsibility to try to achieve? It's really a relationship with Hashem, and the Torah's primary teaching in how to achieve that is through these 6 mitzvahs. So we gave, over the past 3 days, we gave a quick summary, if you may, of the core ideas, the seeds, as I identified them, to each of these 6 mitzvahs. Tried to show you what is the outgrowth of these ideas, both in terms of the attitudes and perspectives, and more specifically, how it affects who we are and how we act. To see both the real benefits of being Mekayim, the positive mitzvahs of the Sheish Mitzvahs Taminias, that they really, in a very practical way, enhance our lives. And on the other hand, that there are very direct negative consequences of being negligent in the lo taseis, or also being mevatel, not sufficiently working on the positive mitzvahs. There's a direct impact. But also, if we are negligent in there are 2 of the 6 concept mitzvahs, there are 2 negatives. If we are not careful in those negative mitzvahs, the outgrowth are very significant negative consequences. And I'm trying to show you more practically, as opposed to conceptually, that these mitzvahs and the ideas that are encapsulated in these mitzvahs really make a real difference in who we are and how we live life. It's not lofty, esoteric ideas. It's real, practical. It's real, down to earth. It really affects who we are, how we look at life, what we do, in every which way. So that's what we attempted to illustrate the last 3 days by going through these 6 mitzvahs, and I gave out a sheet that sort of summarizes that material. If you haven't got one, I'll try to get you one at the end. So today I want to focus on a little bit more practical. So what do you do? How do you work on it? Okay, it's certainly the beginning is to understand the ideas. This is what the mitzvah entails, this is what the mitzvah obligates. But how do we practice this? This is really the essence of Aish Torah. Anybody know where the name Aish Torah comes from? How many people? You know over here? Okay. Raised well over there in the back, right? But for those who are not experienced, I'll give just quickly that the name Aish Torah, and to give you a sense to the degree that Rabbi Weinberg Zatzal was a visionary by this name. But the name Aish Torah comes from a medrash about Rebbe Akiva. And the medrash explains that we all know that Rebbe Akiva was an Amart. He was ignorant till the age of 40. Chazal say he could not read the Aleph Bet. Couldn't read. What was the experience that completely transformed his life, his epiphany? The Medrash says that he would bathe by a particular waterfall. One day he went to his regular bathing spot by the waterfall, and he saw on the ground there was a rock that had a hole from the top right through to the bottom. And he looked up and said, "What made this hole?" And he saw that where the hole was, there was a consistent, steady drip of water falling. And he said to himself, a kal v'chomer, that if mayim, if water which is soft, can make an impact on a rock which is hard, then all the more so Torah, which is Aish, fire, the infinite word of God himself, the creator of the universe, that if it touches the heart of a human being, the finite flesh of man, then of course it's affecting us every moment we have contact with that. And he went to learn. And he became the great Rebbe Akiva, became arguably the greatest sage in Jewish history. All of what we call Torah Shebaal Peh comes through him and his Talmidim. Changed the world. What does this story mean? So Rabbi Weinberg explained. If you would be at the waterfall before the hole was there, and you saw the drop of water hit the rock, and someone asked you, did that drop of water make a difference? What would you say? No. Why? Because to the naked eye, you cannot discern the impact of that single drop of water. But the fact that there's a hole in that rock, maybe several years or decades later, means every single drop counted. It just takes time to see the transformation. That's what Rebbe Akiva realized. That you need 2 things to succeed in learning Torah. Number 1 is you need patience. If you're not willing to be patient and allow the Torah to do its work and transform us, then we will step away before the drops have transformed us and the impact is manifest. We're being changed, but change is 99% under the surface. It's only the final maka b'patish, the final breakthrough where you see the transformation, where it flowers. But we're being moved. It's affecting us. We just don't see it. So you need patience and confidence to realize that really it's happening even though we don't see it. And the second thing you need discipline. If the water would have fallen on the rock on many different places of the surface, it would not have made the hole. The hole is there because the water falls in the same spot over and over and over again. That's what eats away at the rock and eventually puts the hole in it and completely transforms it. It's focused. It's discipline. And that's Yiddishkeit. Every day we wake up, we say certain brachos. Every day we wake up, we say certain tefillos. We have a mezuzah on every appropriate door. Men wear tzitzis. We put on tefillin 6 days a week. We are working over and over and over and over and over and over again because that's how the transformation takes place. It's the patience and the focused discipline. If you're not willing to be patient and you're not disciplined, then you will not really allow the power of Torah to truly affect us and change us. He said, I'm going to take that concept and the word Aish Torah and name it after my organization, Aish Torah, which he founded in 1974. Okay? 1974, 40 some odd years ago. Why? Because he said our generation more so than any other generation in Jewish history, will be challenged by these two fundamental needs, patience and discipline. Why? Because we live in a generation post-technology. And technology has trained all of us to believe that all that we want to achieve should be instantaneous and immediate. Whether it's a microwave oven, or a cell phone, or a fax machine, or email, whatever it may be. And that is only true in physical processes. Technology can speed up physical processes. But spiritual growth, developing our midos, a kesher with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, it all takes patience and discipline. There are no shortcuts. And if a generation comes to Torah from that paradigm, from that perspective, thinking I should see immediate results, then they will mistakenly conclude that Torah no longer has what it takes for our generation. Because they don't realize what are the two fundamentals you need to have at the core of your interaction with Torah: patience and discipline. So he said, I'm going to name my organization after this medrash, because the first lesson every Jew needs to learn is that this is the core. This is the foundation of what allows Torah to really transform us. This was 1974. You hear that? This was decades before the internet. And he was recognizing then how it's affected us. All the more so in 2017. Now it's off the charts. You know, it's just completely out of control, the lack of patience and discipline that exists in us and young people. And it's very, very challenging. And that's why if you go outside this room and you look in the lobby here, this chandelier is not just, art, but it symbolizes the name Aish Torah. If you look at the top, the blown glass is red, yellow, and orange. That represents the fire of Torah. And it descends into a single blue piece of glass, a drop of water. So in the center of this building, where we're trying to teach Torah from Jews all over the world, reintroduce them, this symbol, sits and hangs to teach them, albeit subtly, that the core of your experience has to be this lesson. So that was how that was the reason why the Rosh Hashanah founded, or used this term to describe the organization that he founded. But it was also his approach. Anybody who knew Rav Noach always knew he had tools. He had 5 steps of being intellectual, 5 steps of free will, 7 steps of anava, 7 steps of tshuva. He always had summaries, what he called them marachot, organized system of ideas that would encapsulate important areas of avodas Hashem that he would always review. And this was how he fulfilled this concept, because he's saying that certainly in the crucial areas, you want Avos Hashem, Yiras Hashem, Anava, Hakoras Satov. You want to understand free will. All of these areas, you got to constantly work on it. It's like kneading dough. You got to work it. You got to work it until it really takes its form. It's transformed. The body of a human being is like dough. We got to work it over and over and over again. We work it by reviewing these ideas, Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, shaping, disciplining, clarifying, going deeper until it really takes hold in who we are. Oh, now I got it. Now it's I'm connected to it. It's part of me more so. So that's Aish Torah. That's the core of it. That was a little bit of an insight into how Rav Noach personally, worked on these crucial areas, and how he tried to teach his Talmidim. So I'm going to give you a tool for each of these 6 mitzvahs in that spirit, to try to give us a practical way that we can work on fulfilling each of the 6 constant mitzvahs. So the first mitzvah was Leda, right? Leda Sheishem Lakai, to know that there is a Kadosh Baruch Hu, that God exists. So how do we work on that? So the way, and I mentioned it briefly yesterday, is that we have to work on not believing in God, but being aware of God. There are many, many people who believe in God. There are very few people who are aware of God. And there's a very significant difference. And I'm talking about frum people. There are many, many frum people, obviously, who believe in God. But just because we're frum and we believe in God, and if someone would ask us, do you believe in God? We'd say certainly, without question. I could even demonstrate to you evidence, categories of evidence as to why that's true. It doesn't mean that I go the next step and I'm aware of God. This mitzvah is Shavisi Hashem Lenegdi Tami, is to be aware of God, to be in God's presence. Not just to have it as the cornerstone of our belief system, not just to have it as the foundation of our values and how we make decisions. That's all good. We're not against that. But to really be Mekayim the mitzvah and to really have a relationship with God, it takes awareness. So if you look in the Mem Ches Dvarim, 48 Ways to Wisdom, my brother Nehemiah just put out a book with Shraga Simmons summarizing Rav Noach's teachings on this material. It's a great book. I recommend it. I get no piece of the action, so you can take the recommendation wholeheartedly. And way number 9 is called Tahara, purity. And in that way, the Rosh Yeshiva describes what does it mean to be focused? What is awareness? What is focus? And there's different levels of focus. There's focusing our mind, there's focusing our emotions, and there's focusing our actions. We need to learn to focus our mind. Awareness of God comes through the mind. Okay? That's the skill we need to learn. We need to learn how to get a hold of our minds and focus it to the place we want it to be. We are extremely distracted. Our minds are fundamentally a Reshus Rabbim. We have given over control, and then more often than not, our minds are being filled with the stimulus of the outside world, externals, whatever's in front of us, whatever we see, whatever somebody wants to say to us. But we need to pull it back and take control, take ownership of our minds. And if by doing that, we can use it to be aware of the presence and the existence of God. Okay, so how do you do that? So the first thing is you got to first find your mind, right? And it's not an easy thing to do. You know, our minds they're everywhere. So you have to sort of say, okay, what am I thinking right now? I'm hungry, right? There's a camera looking at me. I have to be more careful what I say, right? I don't know. Like, what's on your mind? What do you worry about? I have a dentist appointment at 3. Don't forget, right? Like, what is on your mind? So that's the first thing, right? Track it down. You guys got it? You have this little bit of a sense. So now you see that there's a power. You can actually take control of your mind. There's a Kallah here of seizing control. Now the next step is say, okay, what am I going to use my mind to focus on? So you say, okay, fine. I'm now going to look at this camera on the ceiling there, and I'm going to pay attention to the color. And I'm going to really look at the color for a moment and notice the color. Okay, so you see how you're really looking now. That's the idea. Okay? This is just to give you a concrete way to practice focusing it. Now, as I said yesterday, if you be in a room alone, and all of a sudden you hear the door open, and you're sitting in the front of this room, and somebody walks in, all of a sudden, now you're aware of the presence of another human being. You don't know that. You don't know who it is, what they're about, why they're in the room. But now you know you're not alone. You've now become aware of the presence of another human being. That is the basic first level of a connection, of a relationship. Awareness that there's someone else here. Now we need to apply that awareness. The Almighty is here. There's a being in the room, in the universe, who created this world, who sustains this world, and is orchestrating all that's happening to the 7 billion plus people that live on this planet at this moment in time. He just walked into the room, so to speak. So allow your mind to focus on that. Don't go to your belief system. Don't go to your memory banks of where you made a decision, I believe in God. Forget that. Go to your awareness in the moment now, here, right now. Be aware. Oh, there's a camera. Here's my mind. I can use it to... hey, there's a God. There's really a God. Here he is. Here's God. Who is he? Basically, he's created this world. He sustains it. And he's orchestrating all to take place. Oh, good morning. Welcome. Right? Or thanks for having me, more accurately. That's like a little bit of a connection. Lefachot, minimally, when you daven Shmona Esrei, and you say, Baruch Atah, before you do that, stop for a moment and say, hold on, am I praying to what I believe in, or I'm going to pray to who I'm aware of? I want to pray to the God that I'm aware of. Stop for a moment, right? Set yourself, find your mind, focus it, and say, okay, I'm going to pray to my Creator, God Himself. And it's a real relationship, and it's a real conversation, and I can really ask of Him. It's a different life. It's a different life. You can walk down the street as someone who believes in God, or you can walk down the street as someone who's aware of God. It's two different existences. Two completely different. You're never alone. You're never abandoned. He's with us. He's got our back. We feel His love. Another opportunity. Let's go. And the more you can do that, the more the conversation continues. It's a dialogue. All the time. All the time. Okay, so that's one tool. That's the mitzvah of Leda. Okay? Lo yilacha. Yeah. It's focused discipline. The easiest way is, I say, make a chabura. It's very hard to be sane alone because the world is crazy. You make a chavrusa. Say, let's get together for 5 minutes a day on the phone and talk about these types of issues, or learn them together, or work on these tools. You have to schedule into your life in real ways opportunities to force you to focus on these ideas and these concepts. Otherwise, we're busy. People are busy. We're busy, very busy. It's like I saw yesterday a young man, Roy Schiff. This kid's 17 years old. He's Rabbi Naftali Schiff's son from Aish in the UK. He developed a system of learning Mishnayos in high school. He got the kids in his grade learning 4 Mishnahs a day. They finished all of Mishnayos. Now he's got a website. He's pushing down the world, February 12th along. So they're interviewing Rabbanim, promoting the website. So they had Rabbi Yoshua Hartman, who's used to live here. Now he's in London. He's his Rabbi. So he says, cover ground, like learn a lot of Torah, cover ground before the ground covers you. Right? Very good line. So I'm saying, it's like, learn to relate to God, before it's too late. You know what I mean? Like, now's the time. This is it. Like, this is the shot. This is our shot. Life's very short. We don't know. Nobody knows how much time they got left. Every day is a day. Every day is very crucial. Okay. So yeah, you had a question?
No, I was once in a class that we had to do an exercise.
Yeah.
Actually, take amount of time to really stop and focus on
right.
Hashem being actually present.
Right.
After you do it a certain amount of time, it starts happening naturally.
Of course, that's Aish Torah. That's the point. If you practice, it's like anything. It's like if you practice, it really, of course, when it's new and it's a little bit, awkward and we're not used to it and we're just finding our way. Of course, yeah, it's always, a little bit unmanageable. But over time, people can do all types of things. Rav Noach always gave the example of learning how to drive stick shift. Anybody here drive stick shift? Okay, so I drive stick shift. I learned how to drive stick shift by force because I had a friend. Whatever, it's a long story, but I had a friend whose father was a connoisseur of sports cars, okay? And he gave his son a very fancy sports car, Italian sports car. Okay, whether that was smart or not, I don't know, but that's what happened. We were once involved in a athletic endeavor, and he broke his leg, okay? And I had to get him to the hospital. And I'm the only guy who's going to, it's me and him. So I learned how to drive stick shift, by force, driving him in that car to the hospital. Anyway, but the story is that, or the illustration is that you're driving stick shift the first time. It's it's the gas, the pedal, the clutch, 5 gears, then reverses off to the side. You got a signal. You got mirrors on your head. Don't talk to me. Don't you see? This is very dangerous. Come back 3 weeks later. They're driving, listening to the radio, talking to a friend, looking at their emails. Piece of cake. And you tell them, maybe that's not so smart. Yeah, it's not a problem. I can handle it, But when they started off, they were convinced, I don't know how people do this. Right? You ever see a guy ride a unicycle? It's impossible. It cannot be done. Right? If you try to ride a unicycle, it's for sure impossible. But guess what? It's not, because there are people riding unicycles. It's the same thing. You have to, practice makes perfect. Okay, anyway, lo yilchad. The next mitzvah is that this is not doing other gods. Remember, these two go together. Okay, the combination of believing in God, Leda and Lo Yilchad, is what power do you rely on? The power we should rely on is a Kadosh Baruch Hu bitachon. Lo Yilchad is all the false gods, right? Small g, that we believe in, that replace God as the creator, sustainer, supervisor in our lives. Okay, so the Chovos Levavos, in his very famous Shar Bitachon, he says it's not that people are not boteach. Everyone trusts in something. We would not be able to get out of bed in the morning if we did not have something in our lives, or a few things in our lives, that give us the sense of stability, confidence, optimism. I can make it through this day. We're all relying on certain powers. Some of us rely on our bank accounts. Some of us rely on our medical insurance. I got Blue Cross Blue Shield wraparound, right? I got a great insurance policy. I know a really good doctor. Don't worry, right? I have connections in City Hall. I have an MBA from Harvard. I'm going to get a job, right? My parents are really good people and responsible. They won't let me down, right? We're relying on a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things we're relying on, and that's what gives us confidence to go forward. He says the job of becoming a botech and Hashem is to switch teams. Switch your allegiance and your reliance on these powers to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. How do you do that? 3 steps. Number 1, figure out what you're relying on. Write it down, at least the top 3. What do you really? We are all relying on certain things. Our ability, right? Our sense of responsibility, our connections, our financial situation, whatever. We're relying on stuff. Identify what we are all relying on. That's step number 1. Once you've got that list, now go through each item and realize each one has 2 inherent flaws. Each one is limited. You've got a great health insurance plan that doesn't guarantee you shidduchim for your daughters. Right? Shadchanim, it doesn't guarantee you have parnasa. You have to realize, whatever you think you're relying on, realize it's a very narrow silo. It's a very small slice of life. It doesn't take care of all your issues. It's limited. Okay? That's number 1. Number 2 is, more than that, it's extremely vulnerable. It's not perfect. It's not infallible. It's not without weakness. Everything that we're relying on could disappear overnight. It may be shocking, but if you think about it, if you look at history, whatever it is you're relying on, all of those things in different ways have evaporated on many people for all types of circumstances overnight. They're gone. And the Chovos Levavos says, if you want to ensure that you don't bump into the limits of those things you're relying on, and you don't realize how vulnerable they are, don't rely on them. Because the Almighty wants us to be boteach in Him, because that's the relationship. So if we're being distracted and we're hiding from dealing with Him because we're relying on all this other stuff, it's in His interest to deplete all those other things. So we'll realize that ain't it. It's just me and you. So the best way to hang on to those things, This is lo lishma, is to let go of them. So the second step is to realize they have two inherent flaws. Each one is limited, and each one is vulnerable. The third step is switch teams, right? That now realize the Almighty is not limited. He's the true wraparound coverage. He affects all aspects of existence, and he is completely unlimited. If you think he's limited, you're a kofar. He has no limits. There's nothing he can't achieve for us. There's a good line I heard once. They say, don't tell Hashem how big your problems are. Tell your problems how big Hashem is. Yeah? It's all a piece of cake. It's all small stuff to Hashem. Okay, we're part of the equation, but to him it's all small stuff. So if you realize that, it's irrational. It's irrational to not trust in God. It comes from the head. It gets to the heart. To be a Baal B'tachon means it's emotional. We feel that serenity. It's okay. I have trust. I rely on. It's an emotion ultimately, but it comes through the mind. It comes through a reasonable, rational assessment of what there is to trust in and why we should trust in God. Okay, so that's the second tool. Okay, that's lo yicha. Okay, yira. Okay, remember, there's two types of yira. There's yiras ha'onesh, which is reward and punishment, and there's yiras ha'romus. We're going to work on the simpler one, yiras ha'onesh. And you should know that when the Rosh Hashivas Zatzal started this whole idea of yeshivot for Bali Tshuva, he went to his Rebbe, Rav Hutner Zatzal. And Rav Hutner gave him 3 pieces of advice. He said, number one is, you will save people's lives. You'll give them back their neshamas, give them olam haba, a relation with Kadosh Baruch Hu. Don't expect an inkling of a karas hatov. Just be glad they don't drop you off the roof of the building. Because when you give people something so profound and they feel such a debt, they're going to do what they can to get out from under that obligation. Don't expect any karas hatov. I can vouch for the accuracy of that piece of advice. And a few other choice words, but we'll get to that another time. Second is, don't take any partners. I don't know if that was general advice or that was specific advice to who Rav Noach was, but he told them, don't take any partners. And third is, he said, in this generation, forget about Yiras Shamayim. Just talk about the positive. They can't handle it. They can't handle it. Rav Noach always said, I listened about a karas hatov, and I listened about the Yira, but I made a mistake. I took some partners, and it cost me at a certain point in time. In any event. But what does it mean? Yiras Shamayim is a tamidi. It's a constant mitzvah. What do you mean don't talk about Yiras Shamayim? That's fundamental to Yiddishkeit. So, thank you. That in Yiras HaOnesh, there's a positive and a negative. Part and parcel of Yiras HaOnesh. If you look in the Rambam, in the end of Hilchos Tshuva, the 10th parak of Hilchos Tshuva, he talks about what's Lishma, what's Avashem, and he explains that if you do the mitzvahs to get a reward, that's in the getter, that's in the category of Yiras Shamayim. So that's positive. Motivating ourselves to want to fulfill the Torah because we realize how good it's going to be, that is within the category of Yiras Shamayim, and it's not anxiety producing, right? It's positive. So in our generation, I think we can handle that. So what's a tool? So the tool I'll offer you is as follows. Imagine a time in your life. It could have been a long time ago, or it could have been recently, right? Depending on how your life is going. But imagine a time in your life where you really felt blissful. It could have been on a beautiful Shabbos, right? You know, your kids are over, your grandchildren, it's a beautiful day, and they're all getting along and singing Zmiris at the Shabbos table, or you go and walk in a park, and whatever moved you. At a time in your life where you really felt full, fulfilled, full of pleasure. You touched the beauty of life, and it moved you. You really felt it. And you were not distracted by our worries and our concerns and our self-doubts. All that was like pushed aside for a moment. We got a whiff of really feeling fulfilled. Can you find a moment like that? Okay, we all have had a moment like that. Okay, so get that moment and sort of get back in touch with it. Now imagine how good you would feel if you would multiply the pleasure, the fulfillment, the goodwill you feel, the beauty you're experiencing, the sweetness you're experiencing, multiply it by 1 billion times of intensity. Completely overblown. Just like blown out of the water, like overwhelmed by pleasure. Just couldn't just like, wow. Drowning in an ocean of pleasure. You got that? Now imagine that experience forever. Not 1,000 years, not 1,000,000 years, not 100 million years, but for all of eternity. You got that one? That's the experience you get when you say Shal Kol Nibaro Bidvaro without concentrating, without kavana. That's without kavana. Because you did a mitzvah. When you say good morning to your husband or wife or your spouse, and they feel a little bit of pleasure from that, that's what you get. You every mitzvah you do, every halacha you keep, every positive thing you do, every effort, that's the reward. Ashreinu. Rav Noach used to say, we should all dance. The first thing you should do when you get up in the morning, moda ani, and then do the jig. This is a cash cow. We are all, imbued with incredible opportunity and spiritual wealth. That's one aspect of your Shemayim. That you do that once a day. Once a day, it awakens us and makes us aware of what's really at stake. What are we dealing with here? This is not penny ante stuff. This is the real big leagues. This is eternity. This is the infinite. This is the ultimate meaning, the ultimate pleasure for all of eternity. The Almighty's not holding back. He's given us the full-blown opportunity. Every second, right? I said yesterday that every day is 86,400 seconds. Every second that we can transform it into this experience, or throw it away into nonsense. Waste time, use our time unproductively. Every moment has that potential. That's one aspect of your Shemayim. Okay, you got that tool? The next one is Ava. Okay, Ava is. I'll give you 4 steps for Ava, okay? Step number 1 is stop and smell the roses, okay? Anybody here have a coffee? Okay, imagine your favorite drink, whether it's coffee, iced coffee, cappuccino, latte. I see these things on the machine downstairs, whatever they are, right? You take your favorite drink, and you have that, imagine you're taking that drink or your favorite food. Stop and smell the roses. Get the pleasure. Make sure you are enjoying all of the aspects of pleasure that are available in this experience. There's the aroma, there's the sweetness, there's the caffeine, there's the film of the milk. There's the warmth of the water and the milk. Enjoy it. Get the pleasure. Oh, beautiful, delicious. Oh, that's great. You really hit the spot. You got that pleasure? Now realize that pleasure is a personal, hand-wrapped gift from a HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The fact that there's a thing called milk and sugar and coffee and caffeine, food could taste like sand. It could all taste like sand. The Almighty goes out of His way to fashion all different types of foods and fragrances and textures to give us pleasure. Not only that, He gives us the receptors to enjoy these pleasures. A person's tongue could be like a piece of leather. Your whole mouth could be like leather. You don't have any taste buds. There's no senses that can experience the pleasures. But the Almighty says, no, I'm going to give them tens of thousands of taste buds in their mouth There's different parts of the mouth. There's where you taste sweetness and where you taste sourness. If you become a connoisseur of wine, they teach you all this stuff. There's a whole world of experience available in the simplest pleasures. And the Almighty made all that because I really, I went shopping for you. I really thought about what you need, and I got you the perfect gift. Personal gift, hand-wrapped, delivered at our door. You got that? Third step is realize that gift is a statement of His love. Just like when someone buys you a really effective present, a really appropriate present, something that it shows they really noticed what I need, who I am, what I need, what I want. They noticed. It was very considerate. When you feel their consideration, you feel loved. Okay? When we feel loved, we love back. When we feel that someone loves us, the natural knee-jerk reaction is we love them back. This is the easiest way to love God. Right? Kamaim panim el panim. Is that when we take pleasure in the pleasures He gives us and put them in the context of a gift and a statement of His love, we feel His love Him back. So 4 steps. Get the pleasure. Realize it's a personal gift. Realize it's a statement of His love, right? Feel His love. Love Him back and concretize it. Say, Hashem, I love you. Say it. I love you. Thank you. I love you. You should do this once a day. Once a day, if you do this, you get a little bit of an experience of Avavas Hashem, a little bit. Okay? What's 5? 5 is Lo Sasuru. Okay? So Lo Sasuru has 2 problems. Gaiva and Taiva. Okay? These are the enemies of sane, rational living, spirituality, and relationship with God. These are really the enemies of existence. Gaiva and Taiva. This is what's doing all of us in and doing every person in. Okay? We've got to manage these things. So, Gaiva, Rav Noach had a very simple but, I think brilliant way of showing people the insanity of arrogance. And he would give the example, this is, in the context of the yeshiva, so it doesn't exactly apply to all of you, but you'll get the point. And he would give the examples that imagine a guy walks into the base medrash of Aish Torah, and he says to his friends, listen guys, you wouldn't believe what happened. What happened? I have a grandmother, and she decided to dissolve her estate while she's alive, smart lady, and she's sending money to all of her relatives and all of her grandchildren. And I'm one of her grandchildren. Each one of us got a check for $10,000. And she sent it to me in the mail, and it came to Aish. I got this check for $10,000. I'm sitting in my dorm room with this piece of paper, this check, signed $10,000 to my name. Thinking, unbelievable. So what do? I say, I got it. I'm going to open up a bank account. Brilliant. I went to the bank the next day. I opened up a bank account. I gave them the check, and I deposited it. It's now cash. I can take out money from this check that's in my bank account. You guys understand the brilliance of this? Have I figured this out? And now you guys want, I got, look, here's some money, see? Real money. A businessman. You go, wow, yeah, shrewd, right? Clever. You go, this guy is off the deep end. Like he's had a breakdown, right? You call the people responsible for the yeshiva, like, we have a real problem on our hands. This guy's made a break with reality, psychotic. You understand? That's all of us. Everything we do, all of our accomplishments, just cashing the check, dumbbell. Oh, you made an effort to do something intelligent, right, meaningful. Oh, you were moser nefesh. It's all cashing the check. Everybody realizes that when you act reasonably and rationally, it's nothing to write home about. You don't brag about being reasonable. It's called being reasonable. What else should I be, an idiot? What should I use? Put it, put the check between my sefer to know what page I'm on. That's what it's for. You figured out you can turn it into cash. There are many others, but that's one simple way to protect ourselves from patting ourselves in the back too hard. Just remember, just cashing the check. Take pleasure, enjoy it, take pleasure, not pride. Don't pat yourself on the back. Don't take credit, take pleasure. Just being reasonable. Okay? That's one. Now, taiva is a little more challenging in terms of the tool, but taiva is like this. And this really comes from the Mesilas Yesharim. It's the first parak of the Mesilas Yesharim, but it's a little bit, modern parlance, if you may. That everyone take a look at your hand. Okay? You got your hand? Now, I want you to imagine your hand. You peel away the first layer of skin. Yes, do it. I know it's particularly hard for women, but do it. Okay? Imagine you're now looking at your hand. There's no skin there. What do you see? Well, there's bones. There's ligaments. There's red and blue blood vessels. There's the nervous system. Right? You see that claw? Ever see my claw? The blood's dripping. Now work your way up your arm. Right? There's several bones here, long bones, ligaments, blood. Now go to your face. This is the hard part, I know. Go to the face, right? Take away the skin. The eyeballs are now like dropping down. There's no nose, just a hole in the middle of your face, right? See the jaw? You got that jaw? You ever see a skeleton with that jaw? Right, you got the picture? So now look at yourself. Look at yourself. We're all a monster. It's a monster. A little thin layer of skin, and we go to sleep and we forget what lurks beneath the surface. Don't forget that we're monsters. Why is this important? Because it's smelling salts. We're identifying with the body. I'm the body, I'm the body, I'm the body, I'm the body, I'm the body. I need food, I need drink, I'm the body, I'm the body, I'm the body. When you do this, you say, whoa, that's not me. Well, who's talking? Rav Noach used to give an example. Imagine that in the future, it's not so far away, they'll be able to do reconstructive surgery, change your face completely, have a whole new face, completely different face. You go to sleep one night, unbeknownst to you, they change your face. You wake up in the morning, you walk into the bathroom to brush your teeth, and you look at yourself in the mirror for the first time, and you see the new face. What do you say? Who am I? Or what happened? You say, what happened here? Where'd my face go? What does that mean? The part that's most personal to us, most intimate to our identity, it's not us. It's just a thing here. What are you, the hairs on your face? How about your nose hairs? Is that you? How about your toenails? Is that you? Of course not. The body's not us. Taiva is the body. I'm not interested. It does not speak to me. We're on two different planets. It's not what I want. It's what my body wants. It's not me. That's the protection against taiva. Calls money think it's you. Say, what am I supposed to do? This is what I want. This is what I want. So what I want. There's no protection. It's not me. I say, okay, I have to decide. Is it appropriate? It's not appropriate. It's the right time. Yes, no. But I'm consulting with me. I'm not trapped by my body because I'm not the body. The Mesilas Yesharim, the mashal he gives, he says that it's like a city dweller, a commoner, marries the king's daughter, the princess. What's he going to bring her? He brings her dinner. You don't get it. We're not in the same league. The body is the city dweller. The neshama is the princess. We're speaking two different languages. You remember that? It's a distancing. It pulls us out of the taiva. Okay? The last one is Yichud Hashem. Yichud Hashem is the ultimate. And I'll give you two tools, right? Remember, these two work together. Los Asuru and Yichud Hashem work together. Los Asuru tells us we are the center of the universe. We're all that counts. I'm the man, right? Get out of my way. Everybody else is just a pawn in my world. That's what Los Yisroel makes of us. And Yichud Hashem is the opposite. Yichud Hashem is we are nothing, dust in the wind. The Almighty is all that counts. The Almighty is what counts, not me. Who am I? I'm nothing. So how do we reorient our orientation to life to see that it's the Almighty's the center? He's what counts, not us. So I'll give you two ways. One is you have to see that we are nothing in space and nothing in time. Okay? What does it mean, nothing in space? So let's say you are a professional basketball player and you are 7 feet tall, 350 pounds. If a guy is 7 feet tall, 50 pounds, walking around, you say, oh, the man's a giant. Right? He's a giant. Look, he dwarfs all of us. You take that space and you divide planet Earth into boxes that are 7.5 feet tall and say 3 feet wide. How many boxes do you think there are on the planet, all of the surface of the Earth? Trillions. So now go find one of them. It's a needle in a haystack. So that 7 feet 5 inches compared to the surface area of the Earth is nothing. It's nothing. A little piece of dirt. Planet Earth is 96 million miles away from the sun. You know what Earth is compared to an expanse of 96 million miles? It's a speck of dust. Pluto is the last planet in our solar system. It's 3.7 billion miles away from the sun. You know what 96 million miles is compared to 3.7 billion? That space is nothing. The sun is nothing. Earth is nothing. That guy, he's less than nothing. Our solar system is one small corner of a galaxy we live in called the Milky Way. In the context of the Milky Way galaxy, you can't find our solar system. Never mind sun, Earth, or that basketball player. They're gone. They don't exist. You could get the super microscope, you can't find that guy. He's gone. The Hubble telescope has helped scientists estimate that they believe our universe has 1,000 billion galaxies. You know what the Milky Way galaxy is? It's like I think you can see it, with a super microscope. It's nothing. What's your body? You're something? You're less than a speck of dust. The Almighty, the universe, is nothing compared to His expanse, Kaviyachol. So who's in the center? You? Big shot? You're the center of the world, the Almighty's a little bit on your mind. Nothing. We're nothing. Nothing. Zero. The same is true in time. What are you going to live, 120 years? Put that on a grid of 1 billion years. How about 100 billion years? How about eternity? It's nothing. We are nothing in time. We are nothing in space. The Almighty dwarfs all space and is above time. He's above time and space. What's the center of your worldview? We are drunk 1,000 times over. You're in reality. You don't even know where reality begins if that's how you look at life. You don't even have a smell of where the reality is. That's the beginning of being grounded to reality. The beginning. That's what we have to remember. The Almighty is what counts. His will is all that there really is. Eino milvado. That's what it means. We are a detail. We have one hope. We have one hope. Take this little speck of dust that we are and attach it to the will of God. He says, listen, I'm willing to play ball with you guys. You can connect to the infinite. You can elevate your life and transcend space and transcend time. But if you don't make the effort to connect to me, there's nothing I can do to help you. I'm sorry. Your only shot, your only fighting chance is to connect to the will of God. That's the only way to redeem yourself and to make your life meaningful. The ultimate meaning, we can actually connect to the will of God. That's the gift He gave us. But without that, our life is nothing. Zero. It's not on the radar. You could be Donald Trump. You could be the most talked about, written about person in the world today. So what? The only thing that's on the radar is that which is connected to the will of God. You hear that? So that's 6 tools. They require a little bit of thought and a little bit of time, but it's 6 tools. You work on these, right? You work on them at least. You spend 5 minutes a day. You have 6 days a week. You could do 5 minutes a day. Go through all 6. So you worked on 1 mitzvah a day. Sunday was Leda, Monday was Lo Yilacha, Tuesday was Yira, etc. Shabbos you can cash in on all of them if you want. But it's 5 minutes. It's not a lot. But it's 5 minutes that really has tremendous potential to make a real difference, because it's really working on what we said at the beginning, the essence, the core, the relationship. It's forging a real relationship with God. It's well worth the investment. Toda Rabbi.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.